Hello everyone and welcome to Friday Message. I'm sitting here near our altar because our gospel reading for this Sunday is a gospel reading of the miracle of the multiplication of the loaves from the Gospel of John. These multiplication stories were really important stories in the early Christian community. There is a multiplication of the loaves story recorded in each of the four Gospels. And they all have similarities and they all have some differences. And one of the unique features of the story in the Gospel of John is that it is a young boy who is the hero of the story. So the similarity in pattern to each of the stories across the Gospels is that a large crowd is following Jesus. They are compelled by his teaching. They are seeking out healing. They're hungry. They're spiritually hungry for the message about the kingdom of God that Jesus has come to bring and to put into practice. And so the large crowd follows Jesus out into a deserted place. And then Jesus says to his disciples, we better find something for all these folks to eat. They're going to be hungry. And the disciples in this account from John's gospel say, we couldn't afford to buy everybody in this group even a mouthful. But there's a boy here who has 5 loaves and 2 fish. But what is that among so many people? And Jesus, using the Eucharistic pattern, using the same pattern that we use here at this altar, he takes, blesses, breaks, and shares the bread. And there is enough and more than enough. There's enough for everybody to eat, to have their fill, with 12 baskets left over. He takes, blesses, breaks, and shares. And there is enough and more than enough. All from that young boy's willingness to share what he had. That act of kindness, that willingness to share in the hands of Jesus became enough and more than enough. And I encourage you to think about that spiritually, that notion of placing what we have in God's hands. Even though sometimes the world says but, as the disciples said but what is that among so many? They said about the 5 loaves and 2 fish. Even though sometimes we get confronted with that but, to follow through and to be willing to share what we have, place it in God's hands so that it might become enough and perhaps even more than enough. Here's a story from one of my favorite authors. Barbara Brown Taylor is one of my favorites. She's an exceptional preacher and a wonderful author. And she tells the story of taking a group of 9 teenagers on a mission trip to repair homes on a Navajo reservation. She says, we went with a half a dozen paintbrushes and some other assorted tools, most of us with only a vague notion of how to paint a house or build a flight of steps. We went, in other words, with about 5 loaves and 2 fish, and the Navajos knew it. Just a crowd of sleepy, skinny, confused-looking kids. So her group of 9 was joined by other groups so that a total of about 250 teenagers would be volunteering in this effort. There were only a few arrangements that had been made to receive them because people had made promises before and hadn't followed through. Nothing had happened. But this group showed up. And on the first day, Taylor's group was sent out with linoleum tiles, some scrapers, glue, razor blades, a measuring tape, a couple of doors, and an electric drill. She says, we had no idea what to do, so we just started doing it. The Navajos were amazed by our industry, and we had lots of visitors who came by to watch us work. About halfway through the week, people who had been observing the kids from the sidelines began to pitch in. They had decided that if kids from all over the country came to work, the least that they could do was pitch in and help. So there were so many of them that they almost put the teenagers out of a job. At the end of the week, most of the projects were completed, and a total of 5,500 work hours had been put in. The reservation was dotted with new roofs, paint, corrals, floors, stucco, and porches. And Barbara Brown Taylor writes in conclusion, we went into the week skinny with 5 loaves and 2 fish, but we came out fat with 12 baskets to spare. Not because we did anything right, not because God made good on his promise to match our gifts, such as they were, with God's own. It is something to remember when the crowd looks too big, the odds too poor, the work too hard, the situation too helpless. It is something to remember when our own resources look too meager, our efforts too puny, our spirits too low. It's something to remember that it's not up to you to feed the whole world, to solve the whole problem, to fix the whole situation. It's just up to you to share what you have, to feed whatever big or little hunger that happens to be standing right in front of you. The rest will come. Because God is God, the rest will come. It's not up to you to feed the whole world, to solve the whole problem, to fix the whole situation. It's just up to you to share what you have, to feed whatever big or little hunger that happens to be standing right in front of you. Barbara Brown Taylor from her book, Mixed Blessings. Here's a Franciscan blessing that I came across this week, and the print is really small, so I need to put my glasses on. May God bless you with a restless discomfort about easy answers, half-truths, and superficial relationships, so that you may seek truth boldly and love deep within your heart. May God bless you with a holy anger at injustice, oppression, and exploitation of people, so that you may tirelessly work for justice, freedom, and peace among all people. May God bless you with the gift of tears to shed for those who suffer from pain, rejection, starvation, or the loss of all that they cherish, so that you may reach out your hand to comfort them and transform their pain into joy. May God bless you with enough foolishness to believe that you can make a difference in the world, so that you are able, with God's grace, to do what others claim cannot be done. Just a couple of announcements. If you didn't get a chance to come to Ann Stewart's memorial service or to see it on live stream, the recording is available on the website. You can view that anytime. Sue Van Oss, our technology expert, is offering 2 workshops on Monday on safety and security on Facebook, and you can find more details about those workshops in this Friday brief. Just scroll down and you'll be able to see they're at 10 o'clock and 1 o'clock. Please sign up for one of those workshops. They're about safety and security in using Facebook for people that are already using Facebook. And finally, the 4th installment of our Embracing Evangelism series is this coming Wednesday at 6 p.m. You can either come to the parish hall or tune in on Zoom, and you don't have to have attended the other sessions in order to come to this one. Be safe and well, and God bless you.